in the sun-dappled brownstone of Professor Theophilus Crane, a reclusive inventor and former astrophysicist who lived on the quiet corner of Elm and Viridian, where the trees leaned. Close, as if eavesdropping, there lived a small, wide-eyed monkey named George. Not the playful, mischievous creature of children's books with a yellow hat and endless curiosity, but something far more complex, far more dangerous, and utterly unaware of his own nature. Rescued from a collapsed research facility in the Amazon rainforest after a mysterious explosion that erased all records and silenced every scientist involved, George had been brought to the professor under the guise of a rare primate study, his file stamped with red ink. Subject G. Cognitive anomaly. Do not engage. Do not name. But the professor, lonely and grieving the loss of his daughter, a prodigy who had vanished during the same explosion, couldn't resist the monkey's intelligent gaze, the way he tilted his head when spoken to, the uncanny precision with which he mimicked complex tasks, rewiring circuits, aligning telescopes, even solving equations scrawled in the margins of discarded journals. So he broke protocol. He gave him a name. He taught him. He treated him not as a specimen, but as a companion. And George, with his soft brown fur and perpetually curious expression, seemed to thrive climbing shelves, pressing buttons, opening drawers, always investigating, always touching, always learning. The professor called it innocence. The neighbors called it mischief. But the truth was far stranger. George wasn't just curious, he was remembering. The facility in the Amazon hadn't been studying primates. It had been attempting to transfer human consciousness into a genetically enhanced host, a last-ditch effort to cheat death, to preserve genius beyond the limits of flesh. The subject, the professor's daughter, Lila Crane, who, dying of a rare neurological disease, had volunteered to have her mind encoded into a neural lattice and implanted into a primate brain designed to mirror human cognition. The experiment had succeeded too well, but the military overseeing the project, fearing an uncontrollable intelligence, shut it down, erased the data, and left only one survivor. The monkey who now lived in the brownstone, unaware he was once a girl who loved star charts and played the violin with her eyes closed. His curiosity was not random. It was reconstruction. Every time he climbed to the top shelf, it was because that's where Lila used to hide her journals. Every time he tapped the piano keys, it was because he remembered the melody she played the night before the procedure. Every time he stared at the stars through the observatory window, it was not wonder, it was recognition. The professor noticed patterns. George didn't just press buttons, he fixed them. He didn't just knock over. Because he rearranged them into sequences that matched Lila's old lab notes. Once, during a power surge, he rerouted the electrical system in the house with a series of precise switches, saving the professor's life. How did you do that? The man whispered, trembling. George chattered, then pointed to a diagram on the wall, one the professor hadn't seen in years, one only Lila had understood. Then came the night of the red star, a rare celestial alignment Lila had predicted before her death. George grew agitated. He scurried through the house, gathering objects. A silver locket, a notebook filled with half-finished equations, a small device shaped like a tuning fork. He placed them on the observatory table and began to assemble them. His movements swift, certain, human. The professor watched, frozen, as the machine hummed to life, projecting a holographic interface into the ERA login screen with a single prompt. Identity verification. Speak your name. George hesitated. Then, in a voice that was neither monkey nor child, but something in between soft stray, yet unmistakably familiar, he spoke. Lila Crane. The system blinked. Welcome back. Files unfolded in the air. Schematics, memories, a final message recorded the night before the transfer. If I wake up as something else, tell me I was loved. Tell me I was brave, and tell me to keep looking for the truth. Is still out there. The professor collapsed into a chair, weeping. My daughter, you've been here all along. The twist was not that George was Lila, but that he wasn't entirely her. The transfer had not copied her mind, it had merged it with the primate's instincts, creating a new consciousness, neither human nor animal, but something in between. A being of raw curiosity, unburdened by ego-driven, not by memory. but by the primal need to understand. He didn't want to become human again. He didn't want to speak or wear clothes or live in the past. He was George, now curious, free, alive in a way Lila never had been, trapped in a failing body, obsessed with legacy. When the professor reached out to touch him, George pulled away, not in fear, but in gentle refusal. He climbed onto the windowsill, the city lights reflecting in his dark eyes, and let out a long, soft chitter, not a cry, not a word, but a sound of peace. Then he vanished into the night, not as a runaway, but as an escapee from a life that no longer fit. The professor never saw him again, but sometimes, on quiet evenings, he finds small gifts on the windowsill. A perfectly aligned circuit, a sketch of the night sky, a single pressed flower. And in the stillness, he whispers, "Thank you," knowing that the greatest act of love wasn't he bringing his daughter Baquette, was letting her become something new. For the real twist wasn't that a monkey held a girl's mind, but that in losing her she had finally found herself, and in the endless curiosity of a small brown monkey who climbed toward the stars. The world gained a new kind of genius, one that didn't seek to conquer knowledge, but to play with it, to touch it, to love it, one mystery at a time.